Hello, welcome to episode 2 of the Carla Knits podcast. My name is Carla and I am a knitter living in Seward, Nebraska with my husband Jeff and my teenage daughter Jenna. I just want to say that I was really excited about all of you who stopped by last week's episode. It was great to read some of your comments, and this is kind of why I'm doing it. I would love to connect with any of you out there who are also knitters or crocheters or just love all the yarny goodness like I do. So welcome back this week, or thanks for stopping by to check out this podcast. All right, let's see. So speaking of my daughter Jenna, I have to give a little bit of a shout out to Jenna because she has helped me with all of the editing and uploading of the videos. So thank you, Jenna. I appreciate your help. All right, let's get started. What I am wearing today, this is my Soldatna by Caitlin Hunter. I knit this last spring when I wanted to knit something very bright and cheerful during kind of a dreary time last spring. So Soldatna, I knit it longer. It's supposed to be a cropped sweater, but I did knit it longer in length, obviously longer in length. The yarns that I used, the bright pink is by APL Crafts Handmade in the Tea Roses colorway. The purpley color, I don't know if it's reading purple or dark blue, is by Pancake and Lulu, and it's the Deep Perry colorway. The gold that you see is a Madeline Tosh, and that's liquid gold. And then the speckly, which I absolutely love, is by Direful Yarns in the Poison Apple colorway. Yeah, so I really love this sweater. It really brings a smile to my face and kind of cheers me up, you know, when it's dreary and cold outside right now. So yeah, that's my Soldatna. All right, going into some finished objects for this week. If you joined me last week, this would have been a work in progress, but I have finished my Lights on Main socks. This is a pattern by Hooga Canyon. Last week I had this sock done, but this sock was about here where the little red light bulb marker is, and so I knit that and finished the sock off. So this yarn is by Sun Soaked Yarns in the Pop Music colorway with a green mini that came with it. This pattern was a lot of fun. I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but this has beautiful gold stellina in the yarn, which I thought was perfect for this pattern, the Lights on Main. Yeah, so I'm really happy with that finished pair of socks. So that's actually pair number 2 done for this year. My other finished object, I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to get this done, so I put a lot of knitting time into this, and this is my finished Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart. I started knitting this in December, on December 1st. This uses a yarn advent calendar, so this is Stress Knits yarn with 24 minis. And here it is. If I can hold this up, this isn't the easiest. So it started here with this kind of lovely brownie color, and then it ends down here. And I don't know if you can pick up where the stitch marker is, but it was in that mint green section. So I knit from there to the end this week. So I'm really excited to have this done. I guess I misjudged where the middle was, or where I should have started decreasing. I could have gone a little longer because I actually have quite a bit of the second to last color and I have a lot left of that 20-gram mini. So I will throw those into another scrappy project somewhere along the line, but I'm really happy with this habitation throw. It finished out to be about 40 by 46. I didn't block it. I didn't know if a blanket needed to be blocked. I assume at some point I'll probably wash it, gently, by hand. I would wash this by hand and lay it out flat. But right now I didn't think that it needed to be blocked. So it's a lovely squishy blanket, and I think it's going to be wonderful for spring or even summer with the when the AC is on. Just a nice little lap blanket. So finished object number 2. Some works in progress this week. I showed you this last week. This is my Knitward sweater by iRock Knits, Corey Eichelberger. And I've gotten some work done on this. I guess my progress keeper is actually on the back. So I think I measured last night. So this is where the progress keeper was last week. And I think it's about 4 inches or maybe a little bit over. So I had said last week that I hoped to get the body done of this sweater this month. That may be a little ambitious. It's taking a while just to get 4 inches on this. And the yarn is a very woolly yarn. This is Brown Sheep Nature Spun Sport. It's a very woolly yarn, which when I knit with woollier, more rustic yarns, I guess I'll say, it's a little bit harder on my hands. I don't know if any of you find that to be true, but it's a little bit harder on my hands. So I don't feel like I go or can knit quite as fast as like when I had something like this. This was, this felt easier knitting, a little bit easier on the hands. So anyway, I guess I am very happy with 4 inches of progress. The pattern says to knit 17 inches below from where you split for the arms. So that is a lot of knitting. So we'll see if I can get the body done by the end. And that doesn't even include the ribbing. So we will see. Maybe I should just push it towards the end of March. Maybe. We'll see. But anyway, I do love this sweater. I think it's going to be so fun once it is done. The pattern has the sweater with short sleeves, but I think I would like to make long sleeves. I guess I'm gonna see how much yarn I have left once I knit the body. I may have to order some more yarn, but I think I really would like it to be a long sleeve sweater. So that is my Knitwords sweater. So the only other whip that I have is another pair of socks. And I do have one sock done, which I will put on my sock blocker. So I actually knit the first sock, I think I started in November and I finished mid-December. It's a very Christmassy feeling sock. Let's see if I can put that on there and hold that up. So this was the first sock that I knit, and you can see it's a very Christmassy yarn. It has some lovely silver sparkle in it, and when I look at it, there's a lot of silver sparkle. And the self-patterning yarn is just so much fun. I mean, the self-patterning just keeps going and going. I mean, I can't really figure out, I don't think it repeated throughout the whole sock, which is amazing. Let me tell you about the yarn, and I'll show you the progress that I made on the other sock. This yarn is, I believe, a German yarn. I will hold this up. I hope you can see that. Rolana Garna, and it's Flotte sock. and it's Christmas metallic. Yeah, so this is, I'm looking, it is a German yarn. I ordered this yarn on Etsy. The seller goes by Hand Dyed Sock Yarn on Etsy, and she carries a lot of the Regia and Opal yarns. So this just screamed Christmas to me. So just so much fun. And when I got my Lights on Main sock done, I had to immediately cast on my remaining sock whip. So I cast this on, and that's as much as I got done. Similarly to the knitward sweater, this yarn has a very rustic feel to it, which makes it a very sturdy sock. I've knit my husband's socks with this type of yarn, the Regia or the Opal, and they are hard wearing. I don't think they're ever gonna get a hole in them. They're just very, very good yarn, very good sturdy yarn. But again, it's a little bit hard on my hand, and I do find it slow going. I find any little bit of time throughout my day or throughout this, throughout the week to spend time knitting. I mentioned last week that I teach piano at a college, and occasionally a student may not show up for their lesson. So I always have my knitting with me. Knit a few rows. If I am in the kitchen, maybe waiting for water to boil or browning ground beef, I will be sitting there knitting a few rows on my socks. So while a sock does take a while to knit, every little bit, every little couple minutes, every little couple of rounds really helps. So I am pleased with the progress on this sock this week. So I would hope that I would be finished with this sock maybe this week, but a couple weeks for sure by the end of February on this sock. So speaking of socks, socks are probably my most favorite thing to make. And so I thought I would share my very first sock with you, which was a sock fail. This sock turned out huge, right? This turned out absolutely huge. The ladies that I was knitting with, I belong to a knitting group, and a couple of the ladies knit socks. And so of course I really wanted to try. And I bought this yarn. This was Red Heart, Heart and Soul in the Christmas colorway. And I found a sock pattern, specifically using this Red Heart, Heart and Soul yarn. I found it on the Red Heart website. So I knit this sock. I used double points, and I knit this whole sock, and it turned out huge. I was very disappointed. I love the yarn, but I can't wear this sock. Even though I have big feet, US size 10, it's still really big for me. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna be a sock knitter after all. Okay, so I put this sock away. I tucked it away in a bag, and I put it away for a whole year. And then, going through project bags, you find things that you've kind of tucked aside, or, whatever you're not sure to do with. And I brought this out, and I'm like, ugh. And my husband saw it, and he's like, well, that's your sock. And I said, yeah, but I said, it's so big. I don't want to knit the other one. It's, I'm just not a sock knitter. But he's like, oh, Carla, you gotta finish the pair of socks. You just have to do it. So I knit sock number 2, which is still very, very big, but it was not quite as big. You can see they're really wrinkly. Not quite as big as sock number 2. And so my husband said, I will wear them. I think they're great. And so my husband Jeff wears these socks. He loves these. And we lovingly call them his clown socks or his Christmas clown socks. So he will wear his regular pair of, white cotton socks, and then he will put these over them. And he says that they feel extra toasty warm because they're so big. So he is actually looking forward to wearing these socks this weekend because we have been very cold this week. We have been in the single digits here in Nebraska. We have quite a bit of snow, and this weekend they're forecasting temperatures with highs in just the negatives. So I think he will enjoy wearing his socks. So this was my first pair of socks, and it took me a year to finish, and I was like, oh, that was rough. But I really wanted to be a sock knitter. I loved seeing other people's socks. I loved all the sock yarn that was out there. So I continued with it. And, learned along the way. So my first several pair of socks are not the greatest, but I still wear them. I have not worn a hole in any of my socks yet. Although a Christmas pair of socks that I have that I love, the toe, the laddering in the toe, that was an early one. The laddering in the toe is getting really stretched out, so I may have to reknit the toe on that one. But needless to say, I persevered, and now I love making socks. I think I have 40 pair in my drawer right now, and I have made other socks for my husband which fit his feet much better. And I do love gift knitting, so I have knit socks for a couple of other people too, and they all seem to fit well. So while it was a lot of work and it was a huge learning curve to successfully knit socks, it was worth it because now I absolutely love it. So a little bit about my sock story, I guess. So 2 active whips, the knitward sweater, and the Christmas socks to finish up, which I need to finish them up because it's already almost Valentine's Day. So probably time to stop knitting on the Christmas socks, but I do love Christmas. So things that I am thinking about knitting or dreaming about knitting. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about socks right now. I have this beautiful skein of yarn from Bumblebee Acres. Bumblebee Acres Farm. Bumblebee Acres Farm. And this is a DK, this is their squishy DK weight in the Miss Jane Bennett colorway. And I saw them post on Instagram about this collection, and it looked beautiful to me. And when I went on their website and looked at all of their bases, I noticed that they had a DK base that was a 75% merino and 25% nylon. I'm like, okay, I could make socks. I've never made DK weight socks. So I have a question for you guys. Have any of you guys made DK weight socks? Because I'm thinking this will go much faster than my fingery weight socks. So I'm kind of excited. And I do realize, because this is a thicker yarn, that they might not be everyday socks that I can wear in my shoes, but they would be nice socks to wear around the house. So I did a little digging on Ravelry, looking at or trying to find sock patterns for DK weight, and I actually came across and purchased from Bumblebee Acres. They designed sock a day socks pattern. Sock a day. If I could make a sock in a day, that would be great. That would be great. But I'm thinking, with a DK weight skein of yarn, you could knit a hat in a couple evenings, maybe, if you're really, if you spend your time just on knitting an item. So I'm thinking, well, maybe sock a day. But anyway, this pattern looks really good. It looks really clear, and it actually comes with 3 different patterns for DK weight socks. It comes with a vanilla sock, which is just your plain stockinette. It comes with a ribbed sock pattern and then a broken rib sock pattern. So I think I would like to start with just a traditional vanilla. I would like to try that and see how that works. So I think I am going to be casting this on this week. I'm really anxious. I kind of keep telling myself maybe you should finish the Christmas sock first, but I really want to cast something new on. So this might happen. So I bet next week you will see this as a work in progress. The other thing that I am dreaming about knitting is the Felix Pullover. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this really well. Maybe some of you have heard of this. This is the Felix Pullover. It has a really nice raglan detail on it. Otherwise, it's just a nice, simple pullover. I have yarn that is in my stash, so I'm excited that I could be using yarn in my stash that I got on a closeout. This is Queensland Kathmandu Chunky. And it's a really pretty raspberry color, which I just love. Can you tell I love the pinks? So yeah, I love this raspberry color. This is a chunky weight, bulky weight. It is an 85% merino, 10% silk, and 5% cashmere. And I have many balls of this yarn in the basket back there, and I have still more in my stash too. So I would like to try making the Felix pullover with this yarn. But again, do I want to have 2 sweaters on the needles? Well, I probably am going to, because I think this one is going to go much faster because it is a bulky weight yarn. So I suspect that it is going to knit up quickly. So I probably will cast this one on this week as well. Let's see, other things to talk about. I enjoy reading, and my husband got me this book for Christmas. This is Murder Wears Mittens by Sally Goldenbaum. This is part of a series of the Seaside Mystery Knitters series, which I got started on several years ago. If you notice, there is a sailboat in the picture. And of course, there's also yarn and knitting needles. Well, my husband he has a sailboat and we love to sail. So he came across one of Sally Goldenbaum's books in the bookstore, and he saw yarn on the cover and he saw a sailboat on the cover. He's like, oh, that'll be great. So he actually got me started on this series several years ago now. 5 years ago, maybe. Just very, very lighthearted. You know, it says murder, but it's very, very tame. Think Hallmark Channel. Just very light reading. It's about a lovely group of knitters, 4 women who meet together weekly, and just listening to how they talk about the yarn, the projects they're making. It takes place in a fictional town in Massachusetts, so they talk about food. So it's a really nice series, just lighthearted if you want something just lighthearted and a feel-good kind of book. So I would maybe recommend taking a look at that. Well, I think that is all I have for you this week. Again, I would like to say thank you for all who came by last week and checked out episode 1. I had a lot of fun doing it. I loved reading some of your comments down below. I was excited that there were people from internationally. So there was someone from Germany and from the UK and from Canada. So that was really exciting. We just live in such an amazing time where we can connect with people all over the world through technology. So while we're stuck indoors right now during this pandemic, this is a wonderful way to reach out to people and connect. So thank you so much for checking this podcast out. I would love to hear from you. If you would like to share what you are knitting on, or crocheting on, or spinning, or whatever craft you enjoy doing, I would love hearing about that. Feel free to like and subscribe to this video if you'd like to know when I post a new episode. And my plan at this point is to post a weekly episode. So you can follow me on Instagram and Ravelry at cbcraftygirl. And I hope you all have a great week with your knitting or whatever yarn goodness that you have, or whatever craft brings you joy. So take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.